everybody. Long time no see. Yep, I know. I've been gone a really long time. Actually, I can explain. I was in prison. Tracy never went to prison, as orange is not in her color wheel, and she absolutely despises horizontal stripes. Please disregard this. Actually, I was in this really heated romance, and we were jet setting all over the country, because I still don't have my passport. So, just kind of jet setting to like Ohio and, North Carolina and Tennessee and stuff. She's sworn off dating because she's afraid that a serious relationship would lead to the need for her to clean her room. Please disregard this. Okay, so I went into politics for a while and then I became a drug dealer. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, so the political thing was interesting, but I found that many people really want to bitch about politics, but they don't actually want to voice their opinion and do something about it. So that didn't last very long. And then I did go to work for a cannabis company because marijuana is legal in the state of Nevada. Even though I don't use it, it didn't stop me from selling it. So yeah, that's the extent of my drug dealing. Okay. Right now I'm working with this company. This is called Aspire. It is a drink with no calories, no carbs, no sugar, sustained energy and focus, and it's 80 milligrams of caffeine, and the caffeine is derived from green tea. So it is sold at Sam's Clubs all over the country. It's actually quite delicious. I am not sponsored by this. I'm just sharing that with you. I wanted to share that with you. So I took a big, long-ass break. I was getting frustrated. The whole Summer Wells case just seemed to bring out the worst in all of the YouTube creators. I don't know what the hell happened there. Not all of them. I won't make a blanket statement, but there was a lot of infighting and a lot of crazy shit, like this one talking crap about that one and that one talking crap about this one, and just like making all of your everyday posts about talking crap about this one and that one. And it was just such a turnoff to me. I couldn't stand it. And another one being like, I posted this first, I said this first, and who gives a shit unless you're, was your information accurate? Has anything ever happened with any of these cases? Why are Jacqueline and Trezell still walking free? Why is Candace still walking free? Come on, this is bullshit. I did take a little stint out to watch Ozark, and there's more truth. When somebody needs to show their hand, how do they do it? They do it through Hollywood, What do you need when it comes to having a drug ring or a sex trafficking or, any kind of thing? You need a sheriff that looks the other way, and it helps to have a funeral home that's got a crematorium in there, right? So think about this, like, where are the West Boys? What the fuck? Like, this is just so corrupt, and it's so much bigger. It's not just somebody coming in and swiping a kid. It's so much bigger than that. And I look at Tennessee and I think, who was the first person to speak up with this little the guy from the freaking funeral home? And am I accusing him? No, but the thing is it's just so corrupt. The best way to get rid of a body is to cremate it. And you're never going to find that body, right? I don't know. This is bullshit. So somebody's getting paid to look the other way, Ronnie Lawson, and I don't care, whatever. It's just that's what happens. So if you haven't watched Ozark, watch Ozark and just tell me if you don't have a few aha moments in there. But the thing is, there's just so much there was so much information getting thrown out and so much misinformation, which is the same thing with this Betty Broderick case that we're going to cover today. And I remember the Betty Broderick case, but vaguely, but I've studied it a lot, and I remember the first Lifetime movie with Meredith Baxter. And then this Dirty John one came out, why they chose Amanda Peet to play Betty Broderick. Why would you take a beautiful, petite little girl to play Betty Broderick? Betty Broderick was a big woman with white, bleached white blonde hair. She didn't have this beautiful feathered, like, dark blonde. That wasn't her. And it was really hard because, I don't know, it's just, like, I remember Betty Broderick and what she looks like and what she still looks like. Anyway, it was just I thought that was a really weird choice of actress to play her, but that's just my 2 cents. Now, when I ran the numbers for Betty, Dan, and Linda, it's very telling. Yes. There's so much misinformation out there. Oh my God. All these YouTubers that jump on here and do this, and I don't know what to believe, because one movie, like, you'll like listen to them. I listened to the court, the hearing, the trial, and that's all saying all this stuff, which I'm going to trust that over anything else. And you have this one YouTuber saying this, and this. It's like, what? And then fucking Todd Grande gets on there with his little panel and it was so much misinformation in there. Just so much. Like, not Todd himself, but one of his panelists was just spouting off all kinds of crap that was not true. So what I did is I'm just going to run their numbers, because that's going to be more true than anything else. So that's what I did. Okay. Yeah. So, when they said she wasn't a narcissist, I thought that was just unbelievable. Yes, she was. Okay. So let's break it down right now. Let's break that down. Okay. So Elizabeth Ann, I'm probably going to murder her last name, Biscaglia. Rolls off the tongue, Biscaglia. All right, so she was born November 7th, 1947. That makes her life lesson a 39, which breaks it down to a 12, which breaks down to a 3. Okay, there's 2 very dangerous numbers here if they go into the negative. That's a 7 and a 3, okay? So I pick on 6s a lot. Today we're going to pick on 3s, all right? So you get somebody who's born on a 7, which, it's her birthday. Yes, it does. It factors in to who she is. That 3, though, the 3 life lesson: needy, emotional, covert narcissist to a fault if they don't have that under control, manipulative. They don't say how they feel. They manipulate around it. Attention whores. In the positive, they're your artists, your creators, good mothers, psychic, caring, good counselors, good listeners, okay? But boy, when you get that, when it's all about them in the negative, it can be a really scary number. She's born on the 7th, so 7s in the negative, fear of betrayal to the point where they attract it. They can't let anything go. They hold on to old grievances, old betrayals, old wounds. So that right there, if you don't work that out at an early age and get rid of it, it can really pile up on you, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little anecdote here, all right? Because people will be like, but you don't understand what he did to her. Okay, I do understand what he did to her, because if you've experienced a wicked betrayal, like a crazy fucking betrayal, I get it, man. So I understand 7s, because my soul's a 7 and my birthday's a 7 as well. So picture it. Sicily, 1942. Okay, not really. All right, picture it. Missoula, Montana. All right, now I'm like 18 going into 19. Now, me as a child, I only liked a guy until he liked me back, and then I'd run because I was scared to death. Scared to death, right? So there was this guy that was trying to get with me, and I was kind of living my free life and enjoying myself, right? Just out of high school. And this guy kept trying to get with me, and I liked his car. I didn't particularly, care about him, but I liked his car. So he would find a way to kind of like make it like, hey, can you take my car into the shop? I got to work today, blah, 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 right? So anyway, eventually I'm like, okay, fine, I'll give him a shot, right? So things start getting more serious. I am a child, okay? I'm like 2 years older than my little girl, my little daughter, who's only, 16, right? So I'm just a child. And he takes a job working on these oil rigs in middle of bumfuck Egypt, Wyoming. So he wants me to move with him. And for whatever reason, me and my need for the new, I'm like, okay, let's go, right? So he goes out there to bumfuck Egypt, and I proceed to burn every bridge that I have in Missoula. Like, if I didn't like you, I'm like, you're a fucking bitch, right? I would just burned a lot of bridges, wasn't very smart. And he's calling, and now this is, pre-internet, pre-cell phone, pre-everything. He doesn't have a phone in his house. He calls me from the bar across the street. Okay. So he's calling me all the time. It's regular all the time, right? And I'm closing up shop in Missoula. I'm going to move out to the middle of nowhere where I absolutely would have freaking hated it, right? Well, at some point, he quits calling. Now, I'm stupid, right? At that point, if a door closes in my face, I kick that fucking door down, right? I don't realize that, a door's closing. There's a reason. You need to look at this. The universe is trying to get your attention. No. That wasn't me, right? So I just completely proceed forward. I keep calling. He eventually calls me back and I'm like, yeah, Ray, what's going on? I haven't heard from you in a while. Do you still want me to come out? He says, I don't think it's a good time for you to come out, but my friend is bringing me some product, and up to Jackson Hole, and we're going to go skiing. So the product he was bringing was white, but you don't ski on it, right? And so he's like, why don't you ride up with him? It's not a good time to move here, but I'd really love to see you in Jackson. And I'm like, okay. So I hop in the car with a total stranger, drive 300 miles to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, right? And where he is coming with his roommates, they're a couple, and I made really good friends with them because they were both bartenders at the bar. So it's going to be Ray and Brenda and Scott, and they're coming, and we're going to meet at this bar up at something Moose's, I don't know, it's like whatever, up at Jackson Hole. So it's now, by the time we get there, it's snowing like hell, like massive blizzard, roads closed shit, right? So we get there, we're waiting, and he doesn't show, right? It's now after midnight. Finally, here he comes. This girl trailing behind him. And I'm like, is that Brenda? And he goes, no, this is Kelly. This motherfucker brought his girlfriend, his new girlfriend, to Jackson Hole. So here I am. He ditched his roommates and brought this girl. And I'm here with a stranger 300 miles away from home without the ability to go back home. And I got to spend the weekend with him while he kisses on her and he lets her drive his car. And I'm here, and there just happened to be a white substance there that would help me escape for a minute. So I totally went for that. It was, to me, the worst freaking betrayal because it set the tone for all of my relationships from that moment on for many number of years. I'm like, what kind of fucking person knows you're going to bring this girl and you don't tell me and you let me come there 300 miles away from home? I still lived at home with my parents, like, what the fuck is this, right? And what about her? Like, what the fuck? So no, I understand. I get it, right? When I left, I basically proceeded to just destroy myself. Like, I was just whoosh, downward spiral, really bad for a while, and I finally ended up packing up and moving to LA, where I then was able to start building back up again. But it still was like this cloud that hung over my relationships for a really long time. It was really, really awful. So no, I do know what it's like. And it wasn't the first time that I've been left for somebody else, but that was the only time it was ever so absolutely brutal. So enough about me, back to this groovy story. So we've got Betty, whose life lesson is a 39, which is your Knight of Cups energy, okay? Emotional. Now this person, he can be great, yes, but he can also be kind of like a Don Juan, and he can also be like not sincere and a little bit of a player, right? Her soul is a 50, all right? Well, a 50 breaks down to a 5. More, look at all those cups of emotion, right? But a 5 likes drama. They have a flair for the dramatic. Well, so does that 3, right? So you get those two working together. Oh, that's fun, right? She expresses as a 42-6. Well, a 42-6 is the 2 of Cups. Look, more cups, more emotion, more shit, right? So you've got all these working together. So she's completely governed by her emotions. There's really no head. It's all heart, right? But where her head comes in is because she's born on the 7th. Well, the 7th is the Chariot. So the head comes in long enough just to fuck with her, right? What does this boil down to? It's ego. It's ego. She can't lose. She can't appear less than, all right? Now, where did her narcissism come in? Could it have been from her parents? It could have been from her parents because her parents expected certain things of her and of all of their children, okay? When she met Dan, let's talk about Dan, all right? Now, before I do that, it's interesting. Betty's path of destiny is a 92, which breaks down to an 11 of justice. Now, when you have this 11 path of destiny that breaks down to a solid 11, you really do want to stay on the right side of the law. Just saying. Okay? Dan was born also in November, 11/22 of 44. Okay? He is a solid 51/6. Does not surprise me that first he went into medical and then he went into the law. Okay? They are your doctors, your attorneys, your judges.